Welcome to the first of my videos on how to answer 25 markers when it comes to AQA AS exams. There are a few things I need to say in this video before we go into structure, some very important things to consider. So let's get moving. These 25 mark essays are discuss or evaluate based questions. Basically, the only question in the entire exam in your micro and your macro where you need to form a two-sided argument. But it's worth 25 marks, guys, so it's a very, very important question where detail is going to be at the core. A discuss or evaluate based question, two-sided argument with evaluation and a judgment. I'll go through the structure in the next video, but this is very helpful. Knowing in micro what kinds of questions come up at AS level, and for macro, what kinds of questions will come up at AS level. That's important so you know what you're working towards. In micro, it tends to be 4 different types of questions. It's a range. Unfortunately, that's the way it's going to be, guys. You need to prepare yourself for it. It can be as simple as discussing one thing or one policy. When I say thing, what do I mean? So for micro, it could be discuss whether monopolies are always bad for society. Discuss whether the abuse of monopoly power is always going to be harmful for consumers. Something like that. That's one thing, right? Whether monopoly power is always bad. Discuss whether competitive markets are always beneficial to society or to consumers or whatever. That's just one thing. It could be one policy to solve market failure. Discuss whether indirect taxation is the most effective way of solving a market failure or reducing consumption. It could be like that. So that could be a style of question. It could be discuss more than one policy. So it might be discuss indirect taxation and regulation to solve a given market failure. It could be as simple as discuss a range of policies in reducing the consumption of, or increasing the consumption of, or increasing the production of, or reducing the production of. Right? So it could be a range of policies there, more than one policy. The stars are because I am going to cover the structure to 25 markers in this form in other videos. Okay, so go through my playlist and you'll see how I've covered 25 markers structures for this kind of question and for this kind of question. Micro and macro together. So if we skip to macro now, you'll see you can get 2 similar kinds of questions in macro. In macro it's much easier. It's only going to be discuss one policy or one thing. A thing, well, let's dissect what I mean by that in macro. So a question like, discuss whether consumption, an increase in consumption, will always increase economic growth in the UK. Discuss whether sustained recovery will always increase inflation. Discuss whether if the UK exports more than it imports, macroeconomic performance will always improve. Things like that. That's just one thing you're considering. Lots of questions in the past have focused on just one thing in macro. So if that comes up, then follow my video covering 25 mark structure for that kind of question, you'll be fine. But you also get macro questions where it might be discussed more than one policy. So the second one is often policy based. Discuss a range of policies that the UK government could use to reduce unemployment. Discuss a range of policies the UK government could use to increase economic growth. Alright, so it could be like that, a range of policies, maybe 2 policies, maybe 3 policies, whatever. In macro it's more simple, it's just going to be either that kind of question or that kind of question. That makes it easy for you. But in micro, yeah, it could be that, this one here, or this one here, but it could be 2 other types of questions too, and the way they're worded is slightly different. So here, number 3, discuss whether government intervention is required in this market. Discuss whether governments should intervene in this market. A different style of question. It's kind of like this one at the top, but a little bit more subtle. So often you would say, well look, on the one hand they should intervene because there might be a market failure. If there is, this is how they should, but here are the problems with it. Right? So a bit like that. So slightly more subtle than just question number 1, for example. Or it could be number 4 here. Discuss whether markets should be left to allocate resources in a given market. Yeah? So this again, the structure is just like number 1. On the one hand, markets should be left to allocate resources because. On the other hand, markets maybe shouldn't be left. Maybe government should intervene because. Then you come to a judgment at the end. So these 2, in terms of structure, I like how you structure number 1, so go and watch my video on that, and you can follow the same structure for questions that are worded like number 3 and number 4. But just bear in mind that the wording is slightly different, and that's important. So these 4 types of questions are very common 25 mark styled questions for AQA AS papers. Whereas for macro it's more simple, it's normally just these 2 different styles of questions. Right, the key thing though, for you guys to remember, is structure is at the heart of everything. For you to hit the top levels, i.e. level 5 on these 25 mark questions, structure and organisation of your question is going to be at the heart of everything. If it's not structured well, not organised well, you ain't going to get the top marks. So structure is key. Therefore, watching my next couple of videos on how to structure these questions is going to be really important. You're looking to leave at least 35 minutes, preferably around 40 minutes to do a really good 25 mark question. That's going to be important. The extracts are really helpful. A lot of students look at these questions on their own in isolation and blank. Because actually some of them are tough, right? Some of them are tough. But when you have the extract material, they become super easy. Because the extracts are designed to get you moving, to give you a lot of the content you need, to help you with evaluation. So the extracts should be used. When you look at the question with the extracts, life becomes super easy. 1, in structuring your essay, yes, but 2, in knowing what to write in your essay, in every part of the essay. The extracts are so helpful. And number 5, of course, practice, practice, practice. There is no reason why you can't practice and smash these damn questions. Alright? Watch the next 2 videos, guys, to really nail the structure of 25 markers. But this is very helpful as an overview of what they're like, what you need to do, what kinds of questions are likely to come up. Thanks, guys. I will see you all in the next 2 videos. Very important to go through the structure. See you then.